hit some anytime goal scorers as well as safe shots on goal for some of these goalies. Give me both teams to score in the first period. That's coming in at plus 185 compared to the over 1.5 that is at minus 120. Okay, you guys ready? Let's make some frickin' money. It's time for Pocket with Jo. Good morning, everyone, and happy Tuesday. Jo here of SportsGrid. It's time for a Pocket with Jo over here on SportsGrid TV on X as well as on YouTube. It's great to see all of you jumping in here in the comments. Make sure you do me a favor, hit that like, hit that retweet button, and hit that subscribe button over on YouTube so this show will go live daily next season as well on SportsGrid TV on X. So you guys, we've got 4 games today. We had 2 fantastic games out there on the ice. Now, you guys know I went chalky with last night's matchups. The Florida Panthers were able to get it done in a comeback win, one that it looked like Tampa was going to be able to get it. These 2 teams are so scrappy out there. The refs, I do think, need to start tightening up those calls because these hits are absolutely brutal out there on the ice on each other. No one's really getting called for it. Florida Panthers winning last night's game 4-2 with 2 goals to tie or to get the win late in that game. Now the Colorado Avalanche and the Dallas Stars, Colorado not able to get it done versus the Dallas. Dallas did take that 6-2 win, and it started off with a bang right out of the gate. We got Wyatt Johnson for that anytime goal. So hopefully you're riding with him. He ended up getting 2 goals in that game. Just came out absolutely flying on the ice last night. Dallas winning 6-2. Now, Dallas started off in the first period, 2 goals in the first period, unanswered, 3 goals in the second, but Colorado able to put up their 2 and just that 1 in that third period. So crazy night of games out there on the ice, but 4 to get to today. And we'll definitely look at those players today for their props. Good morning, Kev. Good to see you here today. So let's jump straight into it, you guys. Game 5s today. So we have 2 teams with their backs up against the wall facing elimination out there on the road. That's the Ottawa Senators and the New Jersey Devils. So let's jump into the Ottawa Senators first. The Ottawa Senators taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, current odds on this one, the Leafs are minus 162 favorite. At home, we've got plus 134 here for the Ottawa Senators on the road and a total of 5.5. Minus 114 to the over 5.5. And this is a hard one to take to the under because with Ottawa in the do or die situation, they're going to pull goaltending and those empty netters will come to bite you if you ride this one under, I do think. Now, Toronto wants to win this 3-1. But I'm not counting out the Ottawa Senators to be able to put some points up on the board tonight. Stolarz didn't look great in the last game. Stolarz in the last game allowed 4 goals on just 21 shots on his net. Ottawa really digging deep, winning that last game 4 in overtime, 4-3. I do think if Stolarz has a couple of hiccups out here, we're going to see the likelihoods of Drake Batherson, Jake Sanderson, and Brady Tkachuk be able to get on the scoreboard tonight. So what I'm going to do in this one is I think all the pressure is on Toronto. With that pressure on Toronto, you're going to see them try to lock down, try to play defensive, but I think mistakes will come with that pressure on them tonight. They're 1-12 in potential series-ending games over their last 9 seasons. This has not been good for the Toronto Maple Leafs at home this postseason. The Maple Leafs are currently 2-0. We know that, but when we look at them being 2-7 in their last 9 games at home over the past 3 Stanley Cup finals or Stanley Cup playoff games, I just can't look at this team at that price. So while I do think Toronto closes it out tonight, I'm not willing to take that puck line. And win or lose, I think the Sens can get 2.5 goals to the over on the board. So 3 goals on the board. Yes, they haven't been able to go over 2.5 goals in Toronto as of yet because in game 1, they got 2 goals on the board. In game 2, they got 2 goals on the board in that overtime loss there as well. So the only time they've been able to go over those 2 goals was in that last game. But I do think it's coming tonight. So I'll take the Sens team total over 2.5 goals with their backs up against the wall at minus 112. I'm also going to look at the power play points here tonight for that top power play unit for the Ottawa Senators, because I do think that's where the conversion of those goals will come on that power play. They went 1-2 on the power play in game 4. They held the Leafs to 0-4 on that power play. They only put 21 shots on Stolarz and still were able to get 4 goals. So it says a lot. Stolarz, if he has another hiccup, the Sens definitely can get over this number. So the power play points tonight, I would look at Batherson, Sanderson, and Brady Tkachuk. Now, the problem with FanDuel, they won't let me parlay this. So what I did, and I still like it, I parlayed all 3 just for regular points. So it's coming in at plus 320. So that is Brady Tkachuk, Jake Sanderson, and Drake Batherson, all for a point at plus 320. Definitely worth a sprinkle there tonight. Drake Batherson for his anytime goal coming in at plus 250. Jake Sanderson did score the overtime winner in that last game. He's a defenseman. We know that. I think he's the best blue liner out there on the ice for both of these teams. His anytime goal tonight, if you think he's going to get another goal in this series, is coming in at plus 800. It's asking a lot of him, but he's really been stepping up for this team. And then Brady Tkachuk, I expect Brady Tkachuk to get the goal at plus 190. And that's why I really love that point parlay, because the point parlay, it takes out the fact that it could come via assist for one of these guys on those lines together. So give me the Sens over 2.5. Give me that top power play unit combo of Batherson, Sanderson, and Tkachuk, each for a point at plus 320. I'm going to look here at the special teams, what we've seen out of them. For the Leafs, they gave up all those opportunities, right? And like they gave up in that last game, in game 4, in the first period, the special teams gave up the power play goal and a shorty. So not only did we see Ottawa convert on their power play, they also converted on one of their kills. So they got that shorty. I do think we see that kind of step up. Now, again, I still think Toronto wins it, but I think Ottawa makes a game of it tonight. Mitch Marner and William Nylander, you can't rule them out tonight. For the Toronto Maple Leafs, those 2 guys have combined for 13 points already in this series. Austin Matthews has a goal, but he's been getting those high danger shots. So it's unbelievable that he doesn't have more goals in this series. Allmark has been shaky, but he did look stellar in overtime in that last one. So you got to wonder if he's heating up a little bit. I do think Matthew Knives probably the best way to look for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He scored at least a goal in 3 of the last 4 games. So Knives has been stepping up. You've got Tavares as well, Max Domi, William Nylander, Mitch Marner, Austin Matthews. So all the playmakers here for the Toronto Maple Leafs. But this is going to be, can they get out of their heads? Because I do think Toronto is in their heads. Their fans are already getting nervous with Ottawa getting one of those wins, expecting Toronto to sweep. So let's make some freaking money. I don't think they're strong enough to get the win. But I think you've got to be concerned about Toronto's mindset and wonder if they're able to get it done here on their home ice in front of their home fans, or if it's going to be too much pressure. I do think if they lose tonight, they dominate the next game and get a huge win in Ottawa. So Kings run the series. I think the Kings get the next win. For sure, Henry. We'll look at that game in the next couple of minutes here. First, let's jump into the matchup. The New Jersey Devils versus the Carolina Hurricanes. New Jersey, another team with their playoff hopes alive. Now, alive, not dead, but probably after tonight. If you ask me between these 2 teams with their backs up against the wall, the Senators and the Devils, who do I give a better chance of getting the win? It would be the Ottawa Senators. You guys know I was high on them coming into this series. With the struggles Toronto's had in the postseason, Toronto's come out and proven me wrong. Stolarz has been fantastic except for the last game. So when I'm looking at which team I think has a better opportunity still of extending the series, it is the Ottawa Senators. The New Jersey Devils have so many injuries. You look at this team, Jacob Markstrom looked great in that last one versus the Carolina Hurricanes, but he has been shaky as well. And I look at the issues with the defensive players not out there, with Jack Hughes not in the lineup. And I think it's just too much for the New Jersey Devils versus the Carolina Hurricanes. So the Carolina Hurricanes leading the series 3-1, looking to finish it off. The head coach, Rod Brind'Amour, is playing these lines fantastically out there. And now that they're back home, you're going to see a Carolina Hurricanes team with last change that should be able to control the whole flow of this game. Now, it's not Frederik Andersen, okay? So he has been ruled out of this game, but I'm not worried at all. Trocheckov, I think, is the better goaltender between the two. I've always had concerns about Frederik Andersen in the postseason. We know that he can let in some easy ones. So I'm going to definitely ride with Carolina, but it's trying to find a way to make some value with the Carolina Hurricanes here. Looking at those odds, they're minus 275 on the money line. You got plus 220 for the New Jersey Devils. And that's kind of telling in that earlier game, you guys, with the Ottawa Senators and the Toronto Maple Leafs at minus 162. It feels like an auto just take Toronto kind of bet. The books may be telling you they think the Senators might be able to get something done in that game. But looking at the Devils at plus 220, this is almost becoming a play on the number like it is with the Minnesota Wild later, right? Like plus 1.5 for the New Jersey Devils at minus 122. I can't get there though, right? Like the Canes should be the favorite. They're at home. The Devils have so many injuries that the Canes should be able to come out and get it done. But you got to lay 1.5 on that puck line at plus 100. I almost like the alt puck line laying 2.5 goals at plus 200. At least we're getting plus 200. And those empty netters are going to come in this game because the Devils don't want their playoff hopes to be extinguished tonight. So you're going to see them pull Jacob Markstrom early and often during that third period. Like, could we see something nuts like them pull him in the second period really quick with like a minute left out there and they're making a rush at the net? Yeah, you could see craziness as the New Jersey Devils try to find an edge some way here in Carolina. But Carolina with last change, you guys, I feel the most confident about them coming out and completely dominating in this game. They're just a different beast on home ice. We know that. Carolina on the road is where my struggles have always come betting this team. But I'm not going to count out the Devils fully. I'm going to look at Timo Meier for the anytime goal. He's coming in at plus 230. 3+ shots on goal for Timo Meier. Timo Meier has played excellent during this series. He leads the teams in shot attempts, score chances, high danger opportunities, and rebounds created. So you're seeing Timo Meier just dominating out there on the ice, even though the Devils haven't been able to take control of this series. They won game 4, 5-2 with their backs up against the wall at home. But again, that was at home. They didn't have last change. I think you see the gentleman's sweep, right? This is the one where, the Devils won one. They got the win at home. Carolina returns back home, wins it in front of their fans. Carolina also in game 4 dominated that faceoff, winning 58.6% of the faceoffs. They went 1-3 on that power play. They're nice and physical, 35 hits versus 31 for the Devils. Devils unable to convert on the power play in that last game. So for me, it's the Hurricanes minus 2.5 at plus 200. Now, I do think there's another way that you can bet this. You can take the Canes on the regular puck line, and then you can look at some player points added in to bring that up to better value. So I do think Chesnikov put up on that top line was so impactful in the last game. We saw him come out so strong. So he's minus 150 for a point tonight. Too juicy alone, but then you could look at that top line. You've got Chesnikov, Aho, and Blake. Okay, so you've got those three on the top line. If you combine all three for a point, it's coming in at plus 209 for the three guys for the point tonight. And I do think it's a solid way to look. That top line combined for 3 goals and 4 assists in the last game. 3 goals, 4 assists out of that top line for the combo there. So looking at them all for a point seems way too easy. And then I do think you look at Seth Jarvis. Seth Jarvis coming in for the goal for the Carolina Hurricanes at plus 180. 3+ shots on goal for Seth Jarvis at plus 108. He's at home. He will be getting those opportunities. We've seen all season his home ability to get those shots when he has last change is fantastic, converting those shots 3 or more for 66% of his home games out there. So I do think we're going to see that. So it's going to be a good game for the Carolina Hurricanes. I feel for the New Jersey Devils, but you got no Luke Hughes, no Dylan in the lineup, and it's just going to be too much for this defense to slow down the Carolina Hurricanes. It's just, it's a hard one in this game. So give me Timo Meier still, though. You could look at Nico Hischier as well. So Timo Meier, Nico Hischier. Toronto -1 are in reg, Carolina in reg, and Aho for the point with Tavares for the point. Yeah, Kelly, I like where you're going. So, and thank you. I was just on Newswire, so had to throw the jacket on. Tavares fan. Yeah, how can you not like what we've seen out of Tavares as well? I really like Matthew Knives, though. I'm looking for him to step up. The Devils are really weak as well. Yeah, the Devils are weak. They just don't have their playmakers out there for sure. It's going to be a hard one. Good morning to you as well. Highway to Hell Hurricanes, Puckline Senators, Puckline Wild, Puckline Kings over parlay. I love the Puckline on the LA Kings tonight. We're going to get to that Puckline for the Carolina Hurricanes as well. It's kind of scary because, you're looking at some favorites there, but I do think it's going to be a good one. The song with parlaying, Harley 73. Okay, I like where you're going there. That's a great way to look. Let's move on to the Minnesota Wild versus the Vegas Golden Knights. This series is intense, you guys. 2-2. So Vegas won game 1, 4-2. Empty netter. It was a 3-2 game, but they got an empty netter. Okay. Then we saw the Wild win game 2, 5-2. Game 3, 5-2. Game 4, the last game. The Minnesota Wild lost it. Vegas won 4-3 in OT. Now Vegas is -235 favorite. Why? Yes, they're returning here to the Fortress. Minnesota already proved they could win the Fortress. They won game 2 in the Fortress 5-2. You want me to lay over $2 here on a Vegas team at home? There's no freaking way. Yes, they are fantastic at home, but they don't deserve to be this big of a favorite. They have proven that they have no answer for Kaprizov, Matt Boldy out there on the ice, and Eriksson. And Kaprizov has been playing elite hockey. And I just look at the Wild, and yeah, while the Wild have no answer for Thomas Hertl, Jack Eichel hasn't been playing great. Have the floodgates opened after he got an assist in the last game? That's all he's done thus far, you guys, is 1 assist. Mark Stone, the same way. You've got Jack Eichel and Mark Stone being basically invisible out there on the ice. You've got the Minnesota Wild stepping up. The Minnesota Wild absolutely peppering Adin Hill, who hasn't looked as strong as I would have expected in this series. And you want me to lay -235 for the Vegas Golden Knights? It makes me feel sick. The Minnesota Wild are a +190 underdog, and it basically feels like you play the number at +190. But I do think that puck line, +1.5 at -134 is the best bet. I do think win or lose, the Wild make this a 1-goal game. I'm looking for that lower scoring game. This one has a total of 5.5, and I know that is terrifying, but I expect that defensive battle. My concern here, though, is Adin Hill. It is Vegas. It is their defense, and it's Kaprizov on the other side. So I'm not going to take the full game under 5.5. I will look at the team total here for the Vegas Golden Knights. I know it makes you feel sick. The Vegas Golden Knights under 3.5 goals at -116. We know if Vegas decides that they all of a sudden get Jack Eichel and Mark Stone firing, that power play continues like it did in the last game. It went 2-5 on the power play in the last game, that we could see Vegas get 4 goals in this one, but I just don't see it. I think Gustafsson, he's been great. His save percentage in the playoffs over, it's a 910 save percentage. We look at Adin Hill, 854 save percentage thus far with a goals against average of 3.30. If this one goes over, the Wild make it go over that number. I do think Vegas will lock down. Now, another way to look at this one is, other than Vegas's team total under 3.5, and other than the Wild +1.5 on the puck line, is the Minnesota Wild in the first period. First period money line from the Minnesota Wild at +150. And hear me out on this one. So we look at the Wild. They've won 2 of the 4 games in the first period with multi-goals. The other 2 games have been a push for them on that money line, with them being 1-1 games going into the second period. I expect the Minnesota Wild to win the first period. Money line first period at +150. They have proven that they can get up. As soon as that puck drops in the first period, they never give up until that whistle goes for the end of the first. And I know Vegas wants to play the same way, but I do think Vegas plays a little bit more cautious in the first. After we see that, I will be looking at the second period to stay under 1.5 goals. I think the second period is a major lockdown, 0-0 second period. Third period, a little bit of fireworks out there. Could we see overtime? Absolutely, we could. I think at the end of the day, this is a 2-1 win for one of these teams. And because of that, I get really nervous here looking at any of the player props. But just to let you know where I'd be going if I was going to play player props. And again, I won't be in this game. Thomas Hertl has 3 points in these 4 games, so 3 goals. I think Thomas Hertl would be your scorer for the Vegas Golden Knights. But again, Jack Eichel has to be getting things going out here. I just haven't seen enough for me to want to put any money on him. Same with Mark Stone. 1 assist for Mark Stone, 1 assist for Jack Eichel. When we look at the Minnesota Wild, you've got Matt Boldy with 4 goals, 2 assists, Kaprizov, 4 goals, 4 assists, and Eriksson Ek with 1 assist. A bunch of other players have got on the board. I expect this to be that low-scoring, tight-checking game. No player props for me with the Minnesota Wild keeping it tight. Yeah, the under 5.5 for sure. It's not a Vegas angle, not a Vegas angle at all. So sounds like me on the highway to hell parlay. So yeah, highway to hell parlay. Gotta love that. Minus 245 money line is a disgrace. It really is. I don't understand it. You're going with a 7-goal game in the Vegas and the Wild one. Yeah, that's what's going to happen if Vegas can't shut down the Minnesota Wild. We could see 5 out of the Wild, and that's why I just want to take Vegas's team total to that under. The refs will decide who wins. The refs always feel like they decide it. The refs gave Vegas a lot of opportunities in that last game. That is for sure in Minnesota. So it's going to be interesting to see back in Vegas. Yeah. If your palm is itchy, money is coming. So let's roll with it. Let us know where you're going to be betting tonight, because if your palm is itchy, it's a very good sign. Last game on deck, the Edmonton Oilers taking on the LA Kings. The LA Kings looking to reestablish dominance here at home, and I do think they do so. Now, looking at a couple of things here with the LA Kings, I think they get the win on the money line. It's coming in at minus 126. You know that's a bettable range for the LA Kings. I also think if they're winning this game, they are covering that puck line, laying 1.5 on the puck line at plus 186 is another way I'm going to go with this. Now, this has a total of 6.5. Minus 128 to the under and plus 104 to the over. The Kings need this win. They cannot allow Edmonton to get the win. It is absolutely vital. Now, Darcy Kemper hasn't looked as strong in this series, and it's been those comeback wins by the Edmonton Oilers. Stuart Skinner, not in the lineup. It is Calvin Pickard. He's played the last 2 games. We did see the Kings win their 2 games at home, and Edmonton answer back with their 2 games at home. They won in overtime in that last game. And if you guys watched the overtime in the last game, it was basically, you could tell that Edmonton was going to close it out, because it looked like there was 100 guys out there for Edmonton and no one out there for the LA Kings. It was just a shooting fest on Darcy Kemper. And I really feel for him. Now, it was pushed late into that overtime. It looked like we were going to go to double overtime, which was frustrating for all of us watching, because you could tell the outcome. As soon as that overtime started, Edmonton had momentum. Edmonton had that firepower, that spark that the Edmonton Oilers is so dangerous on. They also have been converting on that power play. They went 2 of 3 on the power play, 2 of 3 on the power play in the last game. They were super physical, 53 hits. 48 shots on Darcy Kemper. The LA Kings can allow that in this game. If the LA Kings allow that, then the Edmonton Oilers will win this game here in LA, but I don't think they do. You look at the last game for the Kings as well. Without last change in Edmonton, they were unable to convert on that power play. 3 opportunities, 0 power play goals. They had 44 hits, 41 shots on goal. So it's not like the defense did much stronger here for the Edmonton Oilers, but Calvin Pickard played nice and strong. You look at this team, though, I talked about that power play in game 4. They do have 7 power play goals in this series. So I do think that power play will convert with last change. I'm going to look at the Kings. I'm going to look at the Kings team total, because I struggle with Edmonton. We know Edmonton's been getting those goals, but if the Kings defense locks down, I do think the Kings score. And they have to score, and they have to score fast in this one. They cannot allow this to be that 2-1 style of hockey, because they know how quickly Edmonton can tie it up. I look for the Kings to come out, assert dominance right out of the gate, get those goals nice and fast. So the first period for the LA Kings on the money line it's not great value, but the puck line laying 0.5 goals plus 164. I'll look at the Kings first period. Puck line minus a half a goal plus 164. They have to win this first period by a couple goals and then try to lock down on the defensive side. This is what's been happening to them. Edmonton's been coming back. Now, I do think the Kings can go over 3.5 goals. I think they need 4 goals to win this on Edmonton. I don't see them winning this 3-1, 3-2. So give me the LA Kings over 3.5 goals at plus 112. The alt puck line or the puck line laying 1.5 on that puck line at plus 186 for the LA Kings. So plus 186 for the Kings on that puck line. Now, when you're looking at goal scorers, I do think Kempe will get on the board for the LA Kings. He didn't get on the board last game, but he had 4 goals and 5 power play assists so far in the series, 18 shots on goal, 6 block shots. So definitely Kempe has been impactful on both ends of the ice. You got Kopitar, you got so many playmakers out there by field. So definitely look at these playmakers to come alive for the LA Kings. On the other side, I know everyone wants to bet Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, but you're not getting that value. We took Bouchard in that last game. I think Bouchard gets kind of worked out of this game because of the last change for the LA Kings. They'll get those matchups they want. But it's hard to deny what Leon Draisaitl does out there. Leon Draisaitl, 3 goals, 6 assists. So let's just look at a couple other playmakers here for the Edmonton Oilers for their points, because you guys, at minus 430, I don't even want to put Connor McDavid in a point parlay. Leon Draisaitl's minus 330. Now, Evan Bouchard, we talked about, he came out so strong for Edmonton in that last game. His point tonight, I would prefer at minus 138, but I do think they kind of shut him out. I would look further down the list at Ryan Nugent-Hopkins or Zach Hyman for their points. Nugent, Ryan, Hopkins coming in at plus 108 for a point here, and then a Zach Hyman at minus 115. So those are the 2 playmakers. If you want to take someone for Edmonton now, Vander Kane is back in the lineup in case you missed it for the playoffs here. So his point tonight is coming in at plus 168. Now, for the LA Kings, you guys know I love Kempe. I'd look at Kempe for the goal. His point tonight's too juicy at minus 115. I do think Kopitar, Quinton Byfield, and Kuzmenko definitely worth a look as well. I like the combination of Byfield and Kuzmenko for a point. So those 2 guys for a point tonight. Let me just see where it's coming in. I've got so many tickets here for those. Let me just build it again, I think, probably. Yeah. So Kuzmenko and Byfield for a point tonight, each coming in at plus 185. Byfield at minus 122 solo and Kuzmenko minus 118 solo. I definitely think worth a look tonight for the LA Kings. So I'm looking for a strong performance out of the Kings. Like I said, I think they get 4 goals in this one. So looking at their line combinations, you guys, making sure there's been no updates. We are seeing that top line, Kuzmenko, Kopitar, and Kempe. So if you want to take that top line just for their points, Kuzmenko, Kempe, and Kopitar. Now, don't forget about Fiala. Fiala just not on that top line with them. If you stack those 3 players on the top line, each for a point, they're coming in at plus 187. I do like that. You've always got to look at the line mates and them for their points out there. So Byfield and Fiala are on that second line. Looking at Byfield and Fiala for their points instead, you will get Byfield and Fiala at a better value. Together, those 2 are coming in at plus 128 just for a point. So I think that is a solid way to go as well. If you're looking at who's going to be on that power play, you do have Byfield, Kopitar, Fiala, and Kempe and Kuzmenko. All 5 of those guys on the power play. So you're looking at that top power play unit, and then the top line and the second line all for their points. I do think it's a really strong way. The Kings have to come out and convert. When you're looking at that third line and who I would look at, Trevor Moore, I think, number 12 out there for the LA Kings, he should be impactful in this one. And you know, you got Drew Doughty on that top defensive line, as well as Mikey Anderson. Got great playmakers out here for the LA Kings. They got to establish dominance here tonight, because otherwise this series is done. Okay, so where are we going here? I'm just looking at your comments. Byfield first period goal has done well for you. That is a great look. I love what Quinton Byfield's being able to do out there on the ice for sure. Okay. Let me just see the other comments. Other half the highway. your other half of the highway to hell parlay, the Magic. You're looking at the Pacers points, Magic plus the points, and the Nuggets to the under. Some NBA there. I tell you, Steph Curry let me down last night. That's for sure. Yeah. The Knicks. Your daughter Sanders will be a good quarterback. Shedeur Sanders, I don't know what we're going to see out of Shedeur, to be honest with you. I really loved him with Colorado, but I do think a little bit of a prima donna not taking part in the combine with everything Dion has. They're saying they wouldn't go to markets at Sioux if he didn't go in the first round. So teams a little shy on taking him, but he did land and, fifth round pick. And I think Shedeur will make a lot of teams question why they didn't take him. So it's kind of like Lamar, right? Snubbed in the draft and should come back. But you guys, all the best in all your bets. Actually, we got to do a recap. We haven't done the recap yet. Let's do the recap. We'll talk those player props, the best player props tonight. So recap time. The Ottawa Senators versus the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Sens hoping to keep their playoff lives alive, and the Toronto Maple Leafs looking to end things tonight. I'll take the Senators team total over 2.5 at -112. I'm also going to look for the power play to convert here for the Ottawa Senators. I do think Batherson, Sanderson, and Tkachuk each for a point makes sense. It's coming in at +320, all on that top power play unit together. The books won't allow you to parlay them for the power play point. I'm going to look at Matthew Knives for a goal tonight for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I do think Toronto has all the pressure on them, and while they should get the win, I just don't love that money line price. And I think win or lose, we'll see the Ottawa Senators put 3 goals on the board. Toronto wants to win this 3-1, 3-2, but I think the Sens could be dangerous here with Stallars off a bad game. If he doesn't bounce back, we're going to see the Senators possibly win, but at least get 3 goals on the board. The New Jersey Devils and the Carolina Hurricanes. I think New Jersey is packing their bags to go golfing after tonight's game. I'm going to look at the Carolina Hurricanes puck line -1.5 at +100. Alt puck line -2.5 at +200. I'm going to do a line parlay of Chesnikov, Aho, and Blake here for the Carolina Hurricanes. That's coming in at +209 each for a point. They're all on that top line, top power play, and I do think they're going to come out nice and strong. I do think on the other side for the New Jersey Devils, Timo Meier for the goal at +230. Timo Meier for 3+ shots on goal at -132. Absolutely makes sense tonight. The Minnesota Wild versus the Vegas Golden Knights. There's no other way for me to look for the full game than the Wild +1.5 on that puck line at -134. I just think Vegas is overvalued here, and it makes no sense. If you want to sprinkle the Wild on the money line, they've won 2 of these games so far in the series. The series tied 2-2 apiece. They won one already in Vegas 5-2. Adin Hill, not great numbers so far, and Vegas having no answer for Kaprizov. It just doesn't make sense why they're such a big favorite. This should be a coin flip game. Even a -150 here for the Vegas Golden Knights because they're at home, not a -2 and change. So it will be the Wild on the puck line +1.5 at -134. The Wild in the first period on the money line, though, at +150. Sign me up all day. They won 2 of the 4 games in the first period. The other 2 have been a push on that money line. So Wild money line first period at +150. Vegas under 3.5 goals. I love this one. I do think this is a grind amount, lower scoring game. Even if Vegas wins, more so if Vegas wins, because I think Vegas could win this in a 3-1, 3-2 game. But otherwise, it's a Wild who's going to push us over that total, so I can't take the full game total. I'm going to look at Kaprizov for another goal tonight. Kaprizov has 4 goals and 4 assists. Thomas Hertl would be the playmaker here for the Vegas Golden Knights, a 2 score. The Wild have struggled to slow him down. He has 3 goals. Then we're going to look at the Edmonton Oilers and the LA Kings. I'm going to take the Kings to win this big. Over 3.5 goals for the LA Kings at +112. The puck line for the LA Kings, -1.5 goals on that puck line for the LA Kings, coming in at +186. Love the value we're getting on that. First period puck line, the Kings have to assert their dominance in the first period here, laying a half a goal at +164. Kempe for the anytime goal. I like their top line, their top power play unit, all of those guys for their points tonight. Power play points as well. That power play will convert with last change here. If you actually just look at all 5 of those guys on that top power play, which is Byfield, Fiala, Kempe, Kopitar, Kuzmenko, look at all 5 of them for a power play point tonight. We're going to get 3 of the 5, and all of them are like plus 250 to plus 350 for their power play point. I think it converts. And yes, it didn't convert the last time in Edmonton, but this was a power play that was converting before that last game. Over 50% of the time for the LA Kings, these teams are getting scrappy. For Edmonton, it's hard to take anyone here with any value. Leon Draisaitl has been just a stud for the Edmonton Oilers. 3 goals, 6 assists, 13 shots on goal. But I would go down. Even Bouchard. I know Bouchard was so strong in the last game, but he's like minus 130 and change. I would look at Zach Hyman and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins for their points tonight because you're getting better value. So it's going to be a great day out there on the ice. Favorite player for 2+ points, man. Can we get Kempe for 2+ points? We absolutely can. I think Kempe for 2+ points has to be on the list for the LA Kings tonight. And then I would look at, I wouldn't do Sebastian Aho. Give me Sebastian Aho for 2+ points. I prefer, though, the stack of that top line there instead of the 2+ points because I think that team has every ability to be able to get it done. But if you want to look at 2+ points out there on the ice for the Toronto Maple Leafs, I would look at Matthew Knives. Matthew Knives, he's been so solid out there for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So it's going to be a great night out there on the ice. Cleveland is definitely fitting for him. So you guys, all the best in all your bets. Again, thank you so much for joining me here for Puck with Jo on SportsGrid TV on X on the daily. If you hit that like button, hit that retweet button, and hit that subscribe button if you're watching over on YouTube. Greatly appreciate it. You guys are absolutely the best. We'll see you back here tomorrow for another Puck with Jo. Stay tuned for my Cup of Joe. Need a bounce back. After counting on Steph Curry of the Golden State Warriors to come out big, he didn't. He fell flat on his freaking face last night. So not even able to hit our regular point total of 27.5. I had altered it all the way up to 35.5, expecting that big night out of Steph. So stay tuned for another Cup of Joe coming up here shortly. Always stay tuned to the SportsGrid app. I might have a player prop parlay over on the SportsGrid app today. We had one yesterday, a 4-legger. It returned plus 759. We lost it by 1 leg. So definitely come on over, check that out on the SportsGrid app. You will get notified on X when that is posted as well. We'll see you guys tomorrow.